Today we're going to talk about why lifelong learning is important for long-term career success. This is one of my favorite topics because I do consider myself a lifelong learner. What if the biggest threat to your career isn't change, because change is happening all around us and it's happening fast, but your resistance to learning? Is your skill set keeping pace with your ambition? I want to show you how growing your practices and your skills is your key to long-term success, not just building your resume. If you think lifelong learning is optional, you're missing the point. It's actually like insurance for long-term career success. Key thing to recognize here is that people who have long, successful, joyful careers are the ones who actually design lifelong learning into everything that they do. By the end of this video, I want you to be able to understand how lifelong learning is the foundation for great leadership, and it's not just about self-improvement. I want you to be able to understand and appreciate the difference between accumulating skills and developing deep lifelong practices. I want you to be able to appreciate what types of learning actually accelerate your promotability and increase your promotability over time. I want to be able to help you adapt a mindset of growth aligned with your long-term strategic intent. First thing to think about and recognize is that lifelong learning it does multiple things, but primarily it increases your employability and your promotability and your own satisfaction and joy and appreciation of your work. If you engage in lifelong learning, and let's just take a second to define what lifelong learning is. There are areas of your life right now where you identify things that you love. A magazine article comes across, a blog post comes across, a YouTube video comes across your desk, or comes across your phone, or comes across your iPad, or whatever it is that you're using. And it piques your interest, and it piques your interest because it's something you already care about. So lifelong learning isn't this big mountain that you have to climb. Lifelong learning is something that you start doing in small increments. And what I found pretty much unilaterally, everybody that I've worked with, if they have a particular area that they love, that they care about, that they're interested in, and they give themselves permission to dive deeper into that, whatever comes across on their systems allows them to be able to, it piques their interest and they can dive deeper into it. And then their friends kind of know them because, hey, you know what, they're really great at audio video and it's super cool and it's something that they do in their spare time. They find an article about it that they find is interesting, a video that's interesting, they meet someone who's interested in it and they refer them to you. Or someone who's particularly interested in project leadership and I read about it in my spare time, there's interesting stuff about it, I might go to a conference around it, and my friends recognize, okay, this is cool, this is something that I'm interested in, and they send me stuff around that as well. So what you're doing is you're setting up systems that allow you to be able to dive deeper into stuff you care about. And the more you dive in, the more you enjoy it, the more pleasure you get from it, the more enjoyment that you get from it. Now, it takes a while in the early stages of your life to really identify what those key things are, but go and experiment with them. I always talk to my daughter about it like it's like trying on a new item of clothing. Does it fit? Does it look good on me? Do I enjoy it? Does it make me feel good? Does it bring me joy? Same sort of questions for asking about a particular area of study or something that you're interested in. That'll give you the key and the foundation to lifelong learning. A study from the University of Melbourne found that individuals who engage in lifelong learning are more likely to experience both career advancement and better job satisfaction. So the lifelong learning thing is both for your organization, your company, your team, your boss's value, but primarily it's for your own. And I'd really encourage you to be able to look at it as a quest that you're doing for yourself because it brings you joy. There's a fantastic little book, one of my pet little books, which is called Mastery: The Key to Success and Long-Term Fulfillment. Now, George Leonard, who wrote this, died a while ago. So it's an old book and it's been around a while, but it's a gem of a little book. And it is really about how to understand mastery and lifelong learning as something, as a self-exploration, as a way of appreciating you and how you contribute to the world and how you bring yourself joy. And I'd absolutely recommend it for anyone who's thinking about, hey, who am I in terms of what I bring into the world, and who am I in terms of what really brings me pleasure, and what would it mean if I was to dive deeper into that? Would that return many-fold to me and give me more enjoyment and more pleasure in life? And the answer to that, I think, is absolutely yes. This is a great little book for diving deeper into that and exploring it. We've talked about change quite a bit. The lifelong learning thing, or just learning as a practice, gives you a lot more resiliency, because what happens over time, if you dig into a particular area that you love, that you're really interested in. So I'm interested in AI, and I'm paying attention to what's going on in the market all the time, and I'm seeing how it impacts how we learn, how we collaborate, how we study, how we help each other, how we serve each other. And I'm super interested in how it gets rid of the grunt drone administrative work for us, something I'm not really brilliant at. And it helps us with all of that, and it allows us to be able to pursue what brings us joy and what we can add, how we can add value to other people. So it's an area of interest for me. And what I'm finding is that as I dig more into it, I'm now able to see what's new that's emerging around it. Who are the people who are thinking differently about it? Who are the people who are just following it as something that needs to be done versus the people who are embracing it and saying, hey, it's fantastic for this particular purpose. So what you'll find as you dig into something is that you begin to understand kind of what's the extent of the understanding of the field, and what are the new innovations that are happening on the edges of the field. There's some crazy person out here who's saying this particular thing about an area that I'm interested in. And so you start beginning to identify trends, and you start beginning to identify new opportunities in the area, and you start beginning to identify extra value that you might be able to bring to work, or bring to your team, or bring to your friends or your family, because you're the one who recognizes all the voices that are out there talking about something. What are the new and innovative voices? When they pop up, you're in a position to be able to see them. And you'll find over time that that actually brings you novelty and joy, and makes life super interesting in terms of what other people are coming up with. And you can begin to identify, are those people total wackos and they're not making any sense? Or are they people who are out on the edge, exploring new things, being the innovators? They're making a little bit of sense, and I can begin to engage with them online or in person, and I can begin to bring that thinking into my understanding of the way a particular area works or a particular subject matter works. That's fun, and it puts you on the edge of things on a pretty much constant basis. It also helps you build resilience and a level of job security and innovation capacity in the role that you're already in. The other super cool thing that lifelong learning does is it expands your networks of expertise and mastery and fun, interesting people. So if you pick a particular area that you're interested in, that you love, and you begin to identify other people who are contributing to that, they don't have to be people at work, they can be people anywhere on the internet or anywhere in the world, and they're contributing into that field as well, and they're exploring and innovating in that field. You begin to build networks outside of your immediate work, and you begin to build relationships with those people. One of the things I noticed with my daughter was that wherever I would take her in the world, she always had connections or relationships or friends. Now, some of that is the power of the internet. It's like you're already interested in a particular place. You begin to identify who are the cool people who are doing some interesting, exploration, or running interesting tours, or doing interesting food, or whatever it is. And we all now have the capacity to do that so much more effectively than we ever have been able to do in the history of humanity. Use that as a way to also help you expand your mastery. So if you're going on a vacation and you're looking up what are the cool places to eat, what are the cool trips to have, what are the interesting places to visit, also look up, hey, who are the cool people who are also thinking about project management in that space? Who are the cool people who are also thinking about autonomous driving in that space? Who are the cool people who are also thinking about the future of pharma in that place? And what you'll find as you add that in is you begin to treat it like fun, because when you're going on a vacation, you're looking to do all the fun things. If you add one or two things in terms of things that you're already interested in from work, now you're putting that into the fun category, and you begin to embrace it more freely and more easily. And you meet with people who have similar interests to you and are as excited about the world and the opportunities in it as you are. As you start looking at how lifelong learning increases your long-term career success, You'll also begin to consider for yourself whether or not you're looking at extra degrees or extra qualifications. And those are great if they align really well with what you love. Once you've done a level of preliminary education and you've got an undergraduate degree, I really encourage people to be a lot more discerning about future degrees that they do. They've got to fit with who you are, what you want to do, what you absolutely love. And what you love will obviously change and evolve over a lifetime. But as you start doing that, just pay attention to, is it really aligned with what I'm interested in? Are these people at the forefront? Are they innovating? Are they interesting? Are they fun? Are they passionate about what they do? There's wonderful data out there that shows that people who add extra qualifications, add extra skills to their portfolio of mastery, portfolio of what they love, what they're passionate about, that they actually earn a lot more over a lifetime. If that's what you're about, that's just a sort of ancillary benefit of it, and it certainly helps and counts for a lot. But the core thing in here is, if you're embarking on doing lifelong learning because you know it's going to enhance your career success, which it absolutely will, also recognize that it enhances your life enormously, and that's an incredibly important reason to be able to do it. If you're ready to think about getting promoted, you're ready to think about what your next level of learning is, I encourage you to do the Get Promoted assessment. It's down in the comments below. It's www.getpromotedAssessment. It asks you some of these questions and it encourages you to be brutally honest with yourself. As you do it, let me know how it works for you. I'd love to see you on a path to lifelong learning. It just brings your life incredible multi-dimensionality and extra joy. Go for it, and I wish you the best of luck.